Hey y'all, and welcome back to another Wedding Wednesday. My name is Jane Corley with Pic Visions, Media Arts and Photography. If it's your first time here, welcome. Every Wednesday we go over tips, tools, and techniques for my fellow brides, grooms, family members, and friends in order to successfully plan a wedding. A typical engagement period is between 14 and 10 months. So this playlist is based off of a 12-month engagement period. So we got kind of an average. Today's episode is all about 7 and 8 months prior to your wedding. So where should you be between 7 and 8 months before your wedding day? This period of time is going to be all about timeline and decisions. You need to hammer out the decisions of the things that you should be prioritizing prior to 8th and 7th month. Decide and commit to your venue, commit to your caterer, commit to your florist, commit to your photographer, commit to your lodging and your transportation, commit to your officiant, and make sure you are dress shopping and tuxedo shopping for the bride and for the groom so that you can go ahead and get those attire pieces ordered. This is crucial because a lot of these things, a lot of these vendors, a lot of these people that you need to book are going to be no-goes if you wait any longer. Most venues, most caterers, they're going to be booked up 6 to 8 months in advance. So if you have somebody that you really, really want on your staff for your wedding, book it between 7 and 8 months before your big day. Now for your dress, tuxedos, if anything is going to be custom attire, you need to also go ahead and commit to those factors. The dress is going to take 6 to 8 months to actually come in, and that's going to be kind of highballing it, but you want to make sure that you get those attire pieces on time so you have time for alterations and any surprises or adjustments if you're putting your own belt on your own wedding dress, or if you need to make alterations to the tuxedo lapels, or whatever you need to do to those attire pieces. Make sure that you give yourself enough time. That's why it's successful to put this in the priorities of 7 and 8 months before your wedding. Now, if you haven't done so already, you need to make your save the dates and send out your save the dates. This is a really heavy obligation, but it's very, very important because you're going to need addresses to successfully send out your save the dates. You're going to need stamps and envelopes and, just the pieces of cardstock paper or whatever you're using for your save the dates. That design process is going to take a lot of time, and it's best to put that in the 7 and 8 month priority. That way you have a little bit of wiggle room, because typically save the dates must be out 100% 6 months before your wedding. If you are having a destination wedding, that save the date needs to go out even sooner so that you can have your guests come to your wedding, and they're going to need accommodations or they're going to need flights. Give your guests enough time to know when and where and what they need to do to come to your wedding. During this time frame, you also need to go ahead and update your wedding website. We've made tons of decisions within the last 60 to 90 days, so make sure you're updating your wedding website so that your guests have a place to go with that address on the bottom of your save the date, so that they can be informed in what they need to wear. What do they need to do? Do they need to bring anything? Do they need to be prepared for certain food options? What is the plan? And translating that to your guests is on your wedding website. So make sure that you're updating your wedding website as you continue to make these important decisions. Now, some new material. What do we need to prioritize outside of committing and making decisions from what we did in previous months? You need to start looking into what do you want your maids and your men to do. So your bridesmaids and your groomsmen, what do you want them to do? What do you want them to wear? How do you want them to look? How do you want everybody to come in? Who's pairing up with whom? Talk about maids and men. We have a video coming up here very shortly, strictly on maids and men, so stay tuned for that. But go ahead and start brainstorming, get those wheels turning about what you want them to wear, what do you want their bouquets to look like, what you want their boutonnieres to look like, if you want them to have any special accessories, any of that stuff. Make sure you start brainstorming during this time frame. Next is going to be wedding bands. Start shopping for your wedding bands. Do not wait until the last minute to do it, because your wedding bands might be a significant amount. If you are going to get a fancy wedding band for your engagement ring, It's going to cost a little bit more, and you need to incorporate that into your budget. If you're going to be ordering them offline or from a special distributor, you need to go ahead and make those purchases. This brings me to check on your budget. Revisit your budget, see where you're at, see if anything needs to be tweaked or adjusted, or if you have more money in your budget than you expected because you saved a few dollars and cents earlier on down the road. Take a look at your budget and make sure that your budget still looks good, you're still within the constraints of how much you have to work with, and make any plans if you need to save a little bit more money. This is why it's good to commit to all the heavy hitters, your venue, your caterer, your DJ, your photographer. Once you've committed to them, it's good to sit down with your budget and just make sure everything is squared away. Here's a fun one for month 7 and 8, cake tastings and dessert tastings. We are going to have a video on cake and desserts coming up here very, very soon, so make sure to tune into that. But cake and desserts, start talking flavors, start talking frosting, start talking other options for desserts. Do you want to have a parfait bar? Do you want to have cookie platters? Do you want to have a pie bar? What do you want to have as an alternative to just the wedding cake? It can even just be a groom's cake if you want to have that option as well. But start talking, start brainstorming, and just start thinking about what you want to have for dessert options for your guests. Next is DIY. Are you going to DIY versus buy? DIY is very important to think about sooner rather than later because it's going to take time to DIY. It's going to take time to prepare to DIY. If you're ordering jute twine for your bouquets and your boutonnieres, you're going to have to either go and purchase those or order that offline or find some sort of wedding bulk sale and purchase it from there. Just start shopping around for the needs of your DIYs. Next is rentals. Make a list of all the rentals that you're going to need for the different vendors. If you need to rent tablecloths because your caterer doesn't provide them, if you need to rent chairs and tables because your venue doesn't provide them, whatever you need to rent, it's like especially a stage or extra bathrooms, rentals will escalate quickly. So make sure that you rein in your rentals and make sure that you are at least informed and have all of your stuff written down and it's incorporated into your budget so that you don't have any surprises when it comes time to pay. Now, let's talk about timeline. I've mentioned timeline in probably all of my videos. Timeline, timeline, timeline. Timeline for the week before the wedding. Timeline for 3 days before the wedding. Timeline for the day of the wedding for the bride. Timeline for the groom. Timeline for the moment guests start to arrive. Timeline for the ceremony. Timeline for the reception. Timeline for after the reception cleanup. And timeline for, I like the week after the wedding, just so you know everything's going on. Then have a master timeline based off of all of these lists. I know this sounds like a lot, and we're going to have a video down the road only on timeline because it's so important. All of your vendors are going to start asking for timelines. Your caterer is going to want to know, what time can we set up? What time do we have to be out by? What time are the festivities starting in the reception area? What time is the cocktail hour starting? What time, what time, what time? You're going to continue to work down these timelines during your engagement period until probably about 2 weeks before your big day. It's all just little tweaking here and there, making this adjustment, making that adjustment, 15 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Like I said, we'll talk about timeline in another video, but just start mapping your timeline. You probably know, okay, I want my guests to start arriving at 3:45 because the wedding's going to start at 4:30. I want us to walk down the aisle and walk back up the aisle at 5 p.m. I want to be down at the reception at 6 o'clock. Cocktail hour is almost done. Then we're going to do dances. Then we're going to do speeches. Then we're going to do food. And then we're just going to party, party, party. Then have the cake. Then have this. Then have that. Start structuring your timelines for your vendors during this time frame so that you can start distributing them to the people that need them to construct your day in a successful manner. So months 7 and 8 are really just a lot of make your decisions, create your goals, make sure that you are on budget, start constructing your timelines, Start your cake tastings, dessert tastings, and start thinking about your maids and men wear. Start shopping for your wedding bands and take a look at the needs for rentals. So I do hope that this video was helpful on the priorities that you need to make between 7 and 8 months before your wedding day. Make sure to leave in the comments below any tips and tricks you have for your fellow brides and grooms on how to successfully plan a wedding. Where were you at 7 and 8 months before your wedding? What does your timeline look like? I'd love to hear from you guys, so leave it in the comments below. Make sure to like this video if you learned something new, subscribe, and ring the bell if you have not done so already. And don't forget to share this video with your fellow brides and grooms who might need a little bit of help. I'm Jane Corley with Pick Visions, Media Arts and Photography. See you later, guys.